Hi, BookTube. Welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and it is the last week of Jane Austen July. It's going well. I'm surprisingly able to finish the current book that I'm reading, Charlotte, by Helen Moffat. I think I might be able to get it done. And I will be able to squeeze in Heartstone, which is a fantasy retelling of Pride and Prejudice. But I want to talk to you guys about something that I see in Jane Austen novels that is something that I really just love the concept of, and I would like to do it more. Now, I watch there are YouTubers that I don't know if they consider themselves booktubers or they just consider themselves YouTubers that also, are part of the booktube community. But there are some of them like Desi from Darling Desi, Morgan Long, who talk about romanticizing your life. Now, of course, you don't have to do that. They're not talking about doing it all the time, but doing it sometimes so you can appreciate, live, enjoy life when the modern aspects of life are not as, aren't as fun, or you're dealing with the struggles of work, of having a job, or you're just not in a good place emotionally and mentally. That sometimes romanticizing your life really helps. And I bring that up because one thing I think we could all do that I at least find that would make an easy way for me to romanticize my life, because I feel like there's some things I don't know if I could do. I can't just use candles, for instance. That's a little tricky for me. That could be potentially dangerous, having candles. And, I live with my parents, so there are things, my mom and I don't have the same, the same scents and all that, so she might not want to use the same candles I do. My space is in my room, and she's not going to let me have candles in my room because she's worried I might set my carpet on fire or something. So neither one of us trust me with candles. And then, of course, I don't know how to ride a bike, and I can't it's not as easy for me to go to some of the beautiful locations that I see where, some of those people like Darlene Desi live. She has these beautiful places that she goes to. Even some of the cemeteries that she's, she just did a video on Summerween, which is celebrating, the themes of Halloween during the summertime. And she would go, and there was, in that video, she wanted to go to a cemetery and explore it a little bit and just, read the gravestones. And which I think is a nice idea, but something that I can't do because I don't have a cemetery within walking distance. So there are just some things that she herself can do that I can't. But one of the things I can do is something that I see in Jane Austen novels all the time, which is writing letters. I feel like it's an art, and we've lost the art of doing it. Because we spend most of our time just texting people or emailing people or calling them. Everybody's an instant message away or a DM away. And, we don't take the time. And then we also can just type things out. Not just text, but also, And, when you're writing, and there are pros and cons. When you can text something, use your device, your computer, or your, the keyboard on your computer or your iPad or your iPhone. Yes, it is, you can easily delete stuff, and it's easier to fix things. When I was watching Becoming Jane, when they show the scenes of her writing first impressions, or Pride and Prejudice, which at the time she called it First Impressions, she would cut out words that she didn't like. Because, of course, you can't just erase it. With a quill and ink, you can't erase things. The only thing you do is either cut it out or cross it off. So, yes, with, when you can type on a keyboard, you can delete it. The most difficult aspect is maybe being able to move the cursor. If you typed up the whole thing, and then you want to go back and fix something like a grammatical error, which I always run into that problem myself. And also it's a quicker way to communicate with people. People will get it a lot sooner. And the other thing is, you talk to people, you'll talk to your friends and sometimes your family members regularly via the text. So it's like I could see the argument of someone thinking, well, what's the point of taking the time to write a letter if you can just text them? And you might not have anything to talk about in a letter anyway. But it's something that I want to get into again. I want to start doing that. Because with a letter or a note, you have to think about what you want to say, and you can spend a lot more time. And of course, because it was I'm talking about in a time period, where it wasn't as easy to communicate with people. You can really think about what you want to say. You can take your time with it and come up with this, really say everything you want to say. Like with a text message, you might be limited to what you can say because, there are people who type really long text messages, but sometimes people don't want to read that on your, on a phone or but with a letter, you have the whole paper. And then the other thing is that it's still kind of exciting to get something in the mail that's fun like that. Like, I'm not talking like the things you have to get, like, if you order something, the things you need. I'm not talking about the things you need or the bills you have to pay or something like that. I'm talking like packages, like things you order for yourself or even ordered for someone else, or just getting, like I said, getting a handwritten letter in the mail is still really fun for me. And maybe that's because I'm the first part of the first group of millennials. I think I would be considered part of the first, maybe the second group of millennials, but I am a millennial. But I'm not a millennial that is necessarily an expert on like I'm not focused on my phone all the time or expert on social media and all that. And I think that's probably because I'm not as close to the Gen Z generation, who I feel like a lot of them are really good at that stuff. So, and not to say that they wouldn't appreciate snail mail, as they call it nowadays, but I think I just wonder if maybe the first group of millennials appreciate more because they were part of they came from the 90s and 80s where that might still happen. You might still get a letter in the mail. And so maybe it's more exciting because we're still, we are still part of that generation of people that still we get that stuff, and maybe we kind of feel nostalgia for it. And maybe it's part of it for me that it's nostalgia. And sometimes it's, if you live a life where you're not constantly doing, busy, or you don't have a lot of stuff to do in your town, or, you can't for some reason, like, leave your house or do anything right now, your life could probably get lonely. And I think receiving a letter is kind of nice because you're taking the time and you're taking your time for a brief 30 minutes, 5 minutes or so. You go out to the mailbox and open this beautiful letter and you get to read it. And sometimes it can be a long, like 2 pages or maybe 2 or more pages of something, or even just 1 page. I think that can be just as thrilling and exciting and make you feel special because you're getting something specifically for you in the mail where someone has thought it out, expressed their thoughts, talked about their day, talked about something that was important to them. I think it's just a really nice idea. Now, the only problem with it is that it does put a strain on your hand if you're not used to it. And I think because of all these devices, and we're so used to typing things to people and keying things in, I think sometimes I think that could be potentially why our handwriting might not be as neat anymore. Like, I mean, obviously, whenever, I look at samples from the time period of Dickens or Austen, it's such beautiful, cursive handwriting because they did it all the time. But we are so used to keying things in, like clicking on a keyboard, you know. And while, it takes time, it's a very delicate process of writing perfectly and just making sure you don't make mistakes. Now, I did figure out a trick because one of the only reason why I didn't always like writing my thank you notes to people. Like I was always taught that you write a thank you note to someone to let them know you received their gift and you appreciate it and you appreciate the thought that they put into it. So I always, the only reason I didn't always like that is because I would make a lot of mistakes. And, because I would be already using a pen, I would have to waste another card. And I would always have more envelopes than cards. And it was just really frustrating because sometimes the mistakes are just little things, like forgetting a word, in a sentence, just one little word. And it was just driving me crazy. And that's the only reason why I didn't like it as much. And it was annoying. But I knew it would mean something to the people, whether it was my grandma or one of my aunts or uncles. Or, it would mean something to them if I send them a little note telling them that I appreciated what their gift to me. And not just saying, because of course, you might be potentially visiting them. Even if we were visiting them, I would still, when I, like, a month later, like in January, it would be December, and then in January I would write the note, or if it was for my birthday, like a few days later, even if I did see them and was visiting them, I still would write the thank you note to show, because sometimes it's, like I said, it's nice to receive something in the mail, not just an email, but in the mailbox. And there's just something beautiful about handwriting a letter, but to someone. Now, like I said, what I would do is now I've discovered the trick is to first write it in pencil and then trace it. That's what I started doing. To fix that problem, because then I could always erase it if I make a mistake. After I read it quite a few times, but yeah, that's the only reason I didn't like it. But so yeah, it can be painstaking, but I think it might be worth it, because it can make someone's day. And like I said, if they are living an existence where they don't get to do a lot, or there's not a lot for them to do, and they're just kind of stuck in the house or don't have any friends close by, like you're not close by, then I think it will put a smile on their face, make their day if you have taken the effort to write them a little note talking about your day. Just so so I think letter writing is a beautiful idea, to try doing that. If you can think of a letter that even is just a page long, or even just writing a note to someone just to say hi. I mean, obviously, I'm not making this video to tell you should do this, but I think I'm making it because it's something I like the idea of doing, although I still will get lazy sometimes, and lose interest in the idea. That's why, I feel like as soon as I start thinking about that idea, then I need to commit to that idea now. And actually take the time to do it right in that moment while I'm thinking about it. Of course, if I'm, thinking about while I'm going to sleep, trying to go to sleep, like last night, for instance, I could not fall asleep, then yeah, I'm not going to necessarily get up and do that right in that moment. But because I'm also, I can, sometimes I think it's a great idea to write letters, but then there are times when I second guess the idea if I think too much about it and think, oh, it's just silly. And so yeah, I have moments where I question. I do see how there you could possibly make the argument, what's the point of writing a letter when you can just text the person? But yeah, this is something that I just think is a beautiful idea that I would like to try. And I think if you want to, you should maybe try it too. It could be really fun to just write a letter to someone, handwrite a letter to someone, just saying hi. or talking about your day. Like, especially, like, I think grandparents probably appreciate a letter from their grandchildren. Like, I thought about writing to, one of my grandmothers, writing a little note to her, saying hi. Especially because she's, I do have family members that live close to her, but they have their lives and they don't always have time to go visit her. And then we live in another state, and I know she can be lonely sometimes. So I think that's one of the people that sometimes I would like to write a letter to. But yeah, so that's just a concept that I find in Austen's novels that I really like. And I just want to talk about it because it is Jane Austen July, and I thought that'd be a nice video to talk to you guys about, something to talk to you guys and see what you think. I mean, do you like the idea of writing letters to people? Or do you just think it's a silly idea? Because I can see where some people might think it's silly. But I think, like I said, I think it's a nice idea, and a lot of people appreciate that. I mean, have you ever hand wrote a letter? I'm talking hand wrote, not like typed it, but actually taken the time to painstakingly write a letter to someone, whether with a pen or a pencil. Just let them know, how you feel, or talk to them about your day. Please share in the comments below. So if you like this video and you found an interesting thing to think about, then please give it a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you haven't already. And click the bell notification button if you want to be notified when I post my videos. And I hope you are having a good day, enjoying your reading. And if you're and again, as always, if you're participating in Jane Austen July, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it, hear about what you're reading for Jane Austen July if you are. And I will talk to y'all later. All right, bye!